We're here in Estonia. I'm talking to Priit Alamäe from Nortel, which is not the old Canadian company, but the Estonian company, and about the digital society and the lessons we can learn from the Netherlands on that. Priit, can you tell us a little bit about Nortel, when you started it and what business it is involved in?
Yeah, we started a company in the year 2000, and consequently that's when the Estonian e-transformation started. So we've been building it up ever since. Now we are working, I cannot say globally, we are trying to stick to our time zone, but we are working in about 20 countries in government, healthcare, and enterprise solutions.
How many people are there?
We have roughly 550.
550. And what we all know about the X-Road and about the e-health system. Which part of the systems have you contributed with your company?
Now, when you look at the total Estonian e-transformation, which is not only about one or two core systems, we have built roughly 1/3 of the whole stuff over the years.
So give me some examples of the building blocks.
Why? Now let's start with the core building blocks. So when you look at the Estonian story, it's not about technology. So yes, we might have heard about X-Road, but X-Road is just a piece of technology, and it's useless without all the efforts in the strategic choices and change management which have been built around it. But we are working in identity, we're working in healthcare data exchanges, we are working in all kinds of public finance management areas, so making sure that the government money is efficiently gathered and also efficiently and transparently spent. Making sure that the people who are unemployed, that we get them back to the labor market as soon as possible. So these kind of high impact areas.
So first, let's ask about why is Estonia as a country so successful in the digital transformation? What were the driving forces?
Now, usually people like to say that it happened because we were poor. We just had to do it because we didn't have money to spend or waste.
Microsoft and Oracle were way too expensive, so we had to do it ourselves.
That's a simplification, let's say. But I would rather say that it's about a sense of urgency. And a sense of urgency can be in a poor society, can be in a rich society. If you take, for example, Singapore, a rich society, they have a sense of urgency. Now, as you just said some time ago, Netherlands, a rich society, doesn't have that sense of urgency. And the same way, we will find many societies with lower living standards who don't have that sense of urgency that we do. So
why was that?
I think we had some, let's say, strong political leaders. We had the trust in engineering, and we had the kind of general unwritten agreement in the society that we need to make progress, that we don't want to get stuck in the past. Some reason people in the north are tech savvy. If you look at Estonia, if you look at Finland, Sweden, so the people we want to use technology. It might be because of the cold weather, so instead of going over and meeting somebody, we would rather call them up or contact them through any other electronic means.
And the political support, because that's been also one of the driving forces.
Absolutely, and it started, usually all kinds of major changes need to start with some political, in brackets, leaders who are ready to make the tough decisions and who don't care about the re-election. So we had that, luckily. And then, as I said, we built this kind of societal consensus that this is good for us, and we don't make a political agenda point out of innovation and out of, general societal transformation.
And if you normally, security is always a real problem stopper. So that's basically also not happening in the society here. Are there lessons to be learned about that too? So how should we use security from data and sensitive information?
We have never had that issue, really. No, I think the dance in Europe that's going around data security is to a large extent an artificial problem. And usually how many people work, they create a problem and then they start solving it. And we have never had that issue because from technology point of view, security is not an issue. And most of the issues that we are seeing when we're talking about data leakage and hacking and spying, it's about human stupidity, not technology failure. So, you cannot protect yourself, or you cannot eliminate human stupidity or negligence from the equation. It doesn't matter, you cannot simply do that. And when we're talking about spying or data leakage, for example, then it has been happening for the last 200 years.
And paper systems were extremely unreliable too.
Yeah, no, when we take the same example of electronic health records, for some reason people have the belief that when you have paper behind lock and key, then it's very secure. But there is still a number of people who have the lock and who have the key to the lock, so to say.
Okay, so it never became an issue, and you have solved it on a technological scale. If you then look at a society like the Netherlands, how can they profit from the experience? Because you're also working in, for example, Finland, which is a more complex society comparable to the Netherlands. What do we need to do if we want to move more quickly to a digital society and have the benefits?
I don't think the word complex society is correct. I think all the societies have the same complexity. The question is rather about the legacy that has been built in, and are you willing to deal with that legacy? So if you look at why let's see, when you're calling Finland a complex society or Netherlands a complex society, there is a 70-year history of building rules. So first of all, you should question yourselves which part of these rules actually make sense. And generally, when you talk about any change project, it should be by default a simplification project. And when you talk about any major change project, a reform, if you will, it's a combination of three things. It's the strategic direction, it's the change management, conscious change management, processes, people, structures, societies, marketing for that matter, and then there is technology. And very often the e-government projects, they are treated as technology projects. And if you start treating any kind of reform as a technology project, the IT department will handle it, it's failure by default. So when you are looking for a silver bullet, if we implement this platform in the Netherlands, that will solve our problems, you have already failed.
But I hear you on YouTube. You said in Finland, in Helsinki, you said it was time to start implementing the X road, so you can basically move forward as a country. So you obviously gave them the advice to move forward, which they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, but the X road is just a piece of technology, and you can achieve the same type of results with an X road, with any kind of other integration platform. It's about the governance and the principle and the legal infrastructure that you build around it. It's about the incentives that you create for the different government agencies to communicate with each other, to facilitate the sharing of data, in some cases to force the sharing of data. So then when we're talking about implementing the X road, it is about 5% about the actual technology implementation and 90% everything around it.
You have about 12 building blocks identified which you need to implement a successful state transformation. Can you mention a couple of them?
Yeah, it all starts with political will, as we already have said. Yeah. And then there is, just to name a few, awareness, incentives, data quality, core registers, interconnectivity, electronic identity, champions, trust in the society. So we have done our research, as I said, we have identified these 12 building blocks, and as with any engine, if you take out any core part of the engine will not work. It doesn't matter how small this core part is, and that's the same with the digital transformation.
If you look at Nortal and what you're basically bringing to the table for different countries, what is it?
We have been bringing to the table the Estonian experience of actually handling complex societal reforms with the holy triangle. So that's strategy, change, technology. How to bring it all together.
So it's not only technology; it's also the advisory role and the analytical role to how to structure and to make a building change process.
Absolutely. No, when we're talking about government, then very often you actually need to go and change laws. So it doesn't matter what kind of technology you have available. If you don't make the legislative process policy changes in society, the technological implementation will not help you.
What is the most interesting project you're working on at the moment? Which country is now being reformed by the politicians and by you?
Now, there's a lot of interesting stuff obviously happening here in Estonia, but aside from that, we are working quite a lot in the Gulf. So we can see that the countries there, they have the Dutch disease, so thank you for giving the name to the world.
What is the Dutch disease?
No, the Dutch disease. You don't know that? And you're from Netherlands?
Yeah, I want to hear you say it.
Originally that was the dependence on one resource, and when you're building the let's say the national economy around one resource, then you become dependent and ultimately addicted to this. So obviously, as we know, the Gulf countries, they have been addicted to the oil revenues, but now as the prices have gone down and also the leaders have figured out that they need to move away, or let's say diversify the economy. So they want to enable better business environment, they need to have better public finance management, better healthcare, etc. So to create more jobs and be a better destination for investments. So that's what we are working on.
Okay. So which country are you working on at the moment?
Now we are working on Oman, we are working in Emirates, for example. So these are all the countries where the leads actually want to do the major change.
Yeah, this is really interesting because complete different culture. Yeah, it's not exactly a Nordic approach in character. So, and then these 12 building blocks you're using it the same method and it's working there.
Absolutely. As I said, it's not about the mentality; it's about the ambition and about the felt sense of urgency.
Now, if we make this digital, if we look at Estonia, back last question, and we go to the advantages which it has, living here as a citizen, what is so pleasant about the digital society that you live in? What contribution does it make to your life as a businessman, as a citizen, and living here?
No, I think the first characteristics is that we get very annoyed when we need to sign anything on paper. I mean, this summer we did a major financial transaction with the company. We bought out some financial investors, 50 different counterparts, 15 million euros, different financing partners, etc. During that process, I did not give one paper signature. I think that's a good benchmark.
It's fantastic, not signing papers, and then it's horrible process with paper, yeah.
But it's not only about papers. I mean, we are not used to going, for example, to the bank. Why would I need to go physically to a bank? Why would I need physically to go to a government agency? So we have been spoiled.
Well, a government agency you don't go to many times, right? I mean, are there other services which you do which are really nice to have? Because we don't go to banks ourselves anymore. But maybe a driver license, we go once or twice.
Depends. I mean, one thing is making a payment in a bank. But for example, if you want to get a loan, the last time when you got a mortgage, for example, I think you went to visit the bank.
Yeah, I did actually a video conferencing call with my bank.
No, I didn't even do that. It was all email and one phone call.
So that's really nice. Okay, so you've now built this company from 0 to 500 people. Where will Nortal be in 5 years?
It's a good question. We believe that the stuff that we are doing, exactly the connecting technology with conscious change management and the strategic advisory, and actually taking the promising accountability and promising impacts. Let's see where it will take us. It's not that relevant for me. We are 5,000 people or 2,000 people. It needs to be fun.
Last question. I mean, you know that when you live in a system, and it's really nice, and we come here to say, oh, it's so wonderful. On the other hand, there's a lot of pressure on the system, and there's a lot of criticism, and probably the people who know the system the best also know what needs to be changed. What needs to be changed here in Estonia to go successfully to the next step?
It's not about so much what needs to be changed, but what needs to be kept, or what cannot we afford to lose. And the answer is the same sense of urgency. As the society is getting more mature, richer, then usually the sense of urgency tends to disappear. So it's up to us, it's up to the business community, it's up to the civil society to force our leaders to keep that sense of urgency.
Thank you very much.